Hello, today I'm going to show you how to upload your data from our cemetery seriation project to our large class data set. We're going to use a series of statistical analyses on that data set so you can see how data that you gather from a real-world project can actually yield a whole host of interesting statistical patterns that can be used to interpret the archaeological record. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take you into our classroom modules on Canvas. So once you land on the home page, if you go from the home page and click on modules, and then from modules scroll down to the cemetery seriation project, there is an assignment description listed there, as well as a data collection form that you can download and take into the field with you. But you're going to click on the button that says collecting the data and upload your data here. So if you click on that button, you will be sent to our Google Docs form. It's a database recording form, and what you're going to do is transcript the data that you collected on your cemetery recording forms into this large data set. So for every recording form that you gathered on your data collection, so for every headstone that you collected information from, you're going to record the following data. So you're going to click on the data collection, and on your cemetery recording form, that would be the date that you did the data collection. So if you type in today's date, you can do that. The object ID, remember we talked about the importance of having a unique identifier for each object within our data set. So you're going to type in your object ID. So we are using the convention of using the date of the collection, the first three letters of our last name, and then each item within your collection is going to have you're going to use a sequential numbering system. So for the first item, it's going to be number 1. For the second item, it's going to be number 2, and so forth. You will enter your recorder's name, and we determined that the convention would be last name, first name. The location of your cemetery. So if your cemetery is in Tacoma, Washington, you're going to type in the I'm sorry, that was the cemetery name. So if you went to Cavalry Cemetery, you're going to type in the name of the cemetery, and then you're going to type in the city and state where the cemetery is located. The family name on the plot. So if the name, this is the surname, the last name that's listed on the gravestone. So if the last name is Smith, you're just going to list Smith. And then in the next field, you're going to type in the full name that's on the headstone. So that would be the full name as it's listed on the headstone. First name, last name, middle name, all the pieces and parts that are listed there. So if it says Daniel Baldwin Smith, that's the way you would list it. If it says Daniel Baldwin Smith Jr., that's the way you would list it, and so forth. If it's a double or group plot, you would name the second full name that's listed there, and in the field down below that, you're going to list for group plots all full names as they are listed on the headstone, and separate each entry by a semicolon. So if there are multiple entries, you would put semicolon, and then you would move on to the next one. List the date of the birth date and death dates as they are written on the gravestone. So if it says 1925 to 2009, you list it there, however it's written there on the headstone. And then remember we talked about the birth date and death date. Those are numbers and only numbers. It's a number field. So if you come up here to the dates on the gravestone, you'll see it's 1925. So we're going to put 1925 there. and death date is 2009, so we're going to put that there. So in this field right here, it's the dates as they are written. The dates that are listed here are going to be simply the numbered year. And remember, we were going to use that for our vertical control in this data sample. If it's an individual plot, make sure to click on that. Remember to use basic shape. That's one piece of data that we're going to be collecting on our headstones. So if it's a tablet or horizontal slab, we talked about each of these types. So the ones that are most common right now are horizontal slabs. You're going to type in the size, length, width, and height of the stone. So the length might be something like 15 inches. Or we decided to use centimeters, sorry. So it could be 32 centimeters. The width of the headstone would be something like 7 centimeters is really small, 17. And so forth. So once you've filled out this whole form with the pertinent data from your headstone and typed out the full inscription, so whatever it says on the headstone, you want to type out in full here. This field here is to sort of cross-check or cross-reference the data that's listed. So if you say that it says Daniel Baldwin Smith, and the headstone says 1925 to 2009, whatever's listed on the headstone goes in that field. So click Submit when you're finished. And what that will do, you'll have to scroll all the way back to the top of your screen, and it will say that you've submitted that one and to submit another response. So once you're finished with one entry, you go on to your second entry. And remember, we're collecting 30 from each student. So you're going to do this 30 times. Now, what will end up happening is that all of this data will be stored in a massive Excel spreadsheet. And once that data is collected, I will walk you through what we're going to do with that large Excel spreadsheet of data. Okay, I hope you have a great time out there. If you have any questions, please let me know.